Hello there, welcome to ACC Student News. I'm Callie and I'm here with Eric Mann. What kind of work do you do?
So I have worked for the Tootsie Roll Candy Company for 23 years. Most of that time I have been their lead load planner, basically meaning that wherever the candy goes within the United States, if it ships out of Chicago, I'm the person that's usually behind it, finding the carriers and the trucks, and also making sure that we're trying to meet delivery appointments and on-time delivery as much as possible for the cheapest rate possible. So my former boss used to joke that we sit around and we play with candy and trucks all day. But yeah, I've been there for 23 years, and that's been the vast amount of my focus in recent years for them.
That's interesting. And what makes your role so important in the Tootsie Roll Company?
So because we ship over 300 million pounds a year out of the United States, out of Chicago, we probably ship about 60% of that. There's a lot that I control because there's important customers, and such as Walmart, Sam's, Target, stuff like that. And we do everything we can to try to meet due dates, and customers will fine us if we are late with stuff. So my role is to try to work with carriers that are good and reliable, and just make sure that we have a system in place to ensure as much gets delivered when it needs to be delivered and avoid those fines. So that's a lot of what my focus is while there.
And what made you choose this job?
It's interesting, I didn't actually choose this job. I was working for a company in Elk Grove Village before 9/11. They closed down the location, and within about a month after that, 9/11 happened, and it became very difficult to find a job. I didn't have any experience in this role beforehand. I just happened to test well when I interviewed for them, and they took a chance on me, which I'm grateful for. But yeah, so the job more chose me than the other way around. So, but it worked out well.
And would you say like this is your most like entertaining, kind of fun job?
Sometimes, admittedly, sometimes could be very boring, especially during some of the slow times. So what we do is very seasonal, but there's a lot of fun too. There's a lot of coworkers within my group and in other groups that I've worked with for over 20 years. A lot of people stay there for a very long time, and you get a relationship going with those people over the years. So it does make it a fun place to work at times, as fun as work can be at times.
Yeah. So what would you say like is the boring part?
The boring part can sometimes be if we don't have a ton of orders to work on. Sometimes we're struggling to build full trucks. That and just, it's kind of the same process for me every day. So I've gotten to where on some levels it's kind of automatic. So sometimes it gets a little boring when I don't have a lot to do. There's other projects and stuff that I can work on from time to time. But during the slow times, it can be a challenge to keep busy all the time.
Yeah, completely understandable. What are some of the busiest times for Tootsie Roll?
So, like I mentioned before, Tootsie Roll is a very seasonal type of business. They do about, I'd say, 60% of their business in a 12-week period between the first week of July through probably the middle of October. It's all the time that we're sending candy all over the country in anticipation for the Halloween season. That's always been the busiest. There's other times, Easter, Valentine's, Christmas, where there might be a little bit more of an increase in orders, but nothing like Halloween. That stretch is always the busiest for us.
And what are some fun things you get to do sometimes at Tootsie Roll?
So a lot of people, when they come in, they are, you know, we don't do tours, but like people, like friends and family, when they come in and they have special events and stuff like that, they'll often, you know, comment about the fact that there are just big bowls of candy just sitting out all over the place, and that it's always fun to see the reaction for that. And then every year we have trick-or-treating for friends and family. They will come in, they set up an entire haunted house in the back. It's really elaborate. It's amazing what the IT group does there. They're the ones that are in charge of that. It's just good to see all the kids come in and enjoy the product. We usually are kind of worn out because the busy season does get very stressful, but see them come in and enjoy our product and you know, just get to connect with them, it makes it worth it.
And would you say you enjoy your product?
Yeah, there's certain things that I gravitate towards. I'm actually not as big of a fan of the actual Tootsie Rolls and some of the other stuff that they do. Like the Cella's chocolate covered cherries. They do Junior Mints, Charleston Chews, stuff like that. Those are pretty much my main three, especially the chocolate covered cherries. I have a problem with those.
I didn't even know they had other candies.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a Sweets and Snacks Expo?
Yeah, I actually had the opportunity to do that for the first time a year or two ago in Chicago. It was actually the last time that they were doing it in Chicago, so I was actually happy to get a chance to do that. And it's an experience if you ever get to go to do it, because it's a massive, massive place. I spent probably a good 6-7 hours there. I know I didn't hit everything. So, you know, and Tootsie Roll and their other brands are part of that as well, which is why I was able to go. But yeah, just if you ever do get the opportunity to go, it's interesting. A lot of free giveaways, a lot of samples, stuff that you're not going to see anywhere else, stuff from overseas. It's great. I hope to be able to go again sometime. I guess it's going to be in Vegas sometime soon, so I would be all for that.
So are you given like the opportunity to travel?
In my role, not really. Occasionally I'll go out to another plant or location, but it hasn't been super often. I'm pretty home-based there here in the Chicago office.
And would you say you like being home-based?
Yeah, I mean, I wish that I could get out and see some of the other locations, but because most of what I'm doing is so focused on the Chicago location, there's not a ton of need.
Yeah.
Honestly, for me to go to other places, but I would love to go back out to some of the other warehouses and manufacturing facilities that we have.
Would you say, like, do you know any information on the other manufacturers?
Well, I mean, I know like what types of candies are made at each one. Like Cambridge Brands is out in Massachusetts. They are the ones that make like the Charleston Chews and Sugar Daddies and stuff like that. We have a facility in Delavan, Wisconsin. They make your, like the Andes mints, like if you ever go to Olive Garden, what they give you afterwards. Yeah, and then our other main plant is in Covington, Tennessee. And they make like a lot of the Charms blow pops and stuff like that. So there's a lot of brands that people don't realize that Tootsie Roll owns or is involved in. And we also have a plant up in Concord, Ontario, Canada, and they do like a lot of the bubble gum and stuff like that out of there.
That's interesting. And what are some candies that are coming out soon to buy?
So somebody was just showing me a art rendering for something. This is actually for a Christmas item. This is kind of how far along they look at stuff. And it's a box of dots, kind of like a theater box like you can go if you're going in the movies. And it has watermelon, pineapple, and one other flavor, and they're like sugar-coated, almost like gumdrops. A little bit different take on what they normally do with the dots. That's one that I know that I'm aware of. I believe they're doing something too with Junior Caramels, which is a takeoff of the Junior Mints line. But a lot of times I'm surprised and don't really know about the new candy that's coming out until it's already out.
Interesting. And that's all we have for ACC Student News. Thank you, Mr. Mann, for coming on.